Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Living on Blockchain. Today, we are speaking to Yuvraj. He's the CEO and founder of Creatorverse, a prominent Web3 product venture studio. It specializes in DeFi applications. He's had vast experience of nearly a decade working in the blockchain domain. Creatorverse is renowned for its expertise in designing, developing, launching, and scaling Web3 solutions that leverage blockchain, AI, AR, cloud, and analytics technologies. So they have actually exclusively collaborated with Stanford AI and Web3 Research Lab Association as well. They've also worked very closely with Foundership HQ. He, as a founder, has had a lot of experience in terms of working in deep tech technology, companies. He has worked as a design sprint facilitator and also as a PM. And he does hold several certifications as well. This was an interesting conversation simply owing to the fact that there goes a lot of thought process and there is a lot of hard work that goes into creating even the simplest of Web3 applications. And these guys are really helping out founders think more strategically and execute right. I really cannot wait for you guys to hear this. This is a conversation a little different from the usual product-based conversations that we do. So let's deep dive right in. Hi, Yuvraj. Thank you so much for making the time to speak to me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Narisha?
I'm doing wonderfully well. Thank you so much for asking. I am so glad that you could make the time. Could you, for our listeners, tell us a little about yourself and your background and how you got into Web3?
So thanks for having me on your podcast.
The
So
pleasure is all
happy.
mine.
Yeah. So my professional background in the year 2000, I started my career as any aspiring uh, entrant into a job market would look for. I'm a computer enthusiast, like in the right from the school days. So I started my career as a developer,
Okay.
then started building software for
Hmm.
software applications for banking, financial services. Um, it started with Citibank India, then large multinational banks I worked. For them, I built technology, and this while building those technology, I realized many of them were using then technology as their competitive advantage in winning the market share, gaining their profitability, and all those. That was an
Hmm.
exciting journey for about 14 years.
Wow.
Um, okay, then entrepreneurial bug was bitten me, and I was always having this urge to do something on my own. To test the waters, I first invested uh, my own personal money in personal capacity to see whether I'm prepared for an entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Uh, Obvious, I did not got the money back, so I realized much more is required to really. So I thought, okay, an executive management program would help
Hmm.
because I'm always a techie nerd geek.
Right.
So people always say that you are not getting the business fundamentals.
Hmm.
So I learned all the management stuff, not the entrepreneurial. So then the realization was to learn it, I had to do it. Only by doing, we can learn certain things and took up lunch in 2014. Me and my high school friend, we started this company. So when we started with a very different um objective and a different product altogether.
Okay.
It was a food tech company that we started.
Okay.
So we thought that is easier than doing a fintech company, though I come from fintech company. I was a little
Hmm.
scared, to be honest, about going through the regulatory compliance and becoming
Right.
regulated, doing something in the regulated domain. That is what
Right.
my
It can
career
be
was.
very intimidating, yeah, because there are too many
So
hurdles, right?
it's not a hurdle. It's of being a first-time founder, first-generation entrepreneur. I thought that's more difficult and needs a lot of capital than
Right.
doing a consumer tech. It was again,
Right.
I was
Okay.
naive. I was amateur, I should call myself now. It's funny. So I thought consumer tech would be easy and picked up a food tech space and did a food discovery and delivery system.
Okay.
Though I could, because of tech background, I could build a product, but the GTM was a failure. They could not uh, uh, raise funds beyond friends and family. That was a lot of learning, and I thought, okay, our pockets are not deep enough like family businesses or family office owned companies. We need to stick with where our strengths are,
Hmm.
apply our strengths and build something that is more impactful, meaningful, and valuable for the market. Those are the learnings outcome of the first episode going wrong. Then I decided to help other tech entrepreneurs, not tech entrepreneurs, to be the tech co-founder for them. So this worked well for me because I brought entrepreneurial zeal, quest, hunger, analytical, and all kinds of necessary in building new products and making sure there is a economic moat in it. There is a competitive advantage in what we are doing. All those fundamental foundational things are new product venture required. I was able to bring it to a non-tech entrepreneur, and that was helping me to recover from some of the losses that I personally incurred. So this gave a confidence to come for the second innings. So 2019, late 2019, when COVID was um, playing a different kind of making the changes, sea changes, and the landscape was changing. Tech was being heavily in demand, and everybody thought the world is not going to be the same as it was before COVID. So I got the confidence that I have the blockchain understanding, deep tech understanding, emerging tech understanding, and the white space that I found is uh, that founders, they are not applying the technology well or leveraging it the way it should be leveraged, and build a model solving the Web 2, then doing something copy paste of Web 2. So we started this product studio, which evolved as a venture studio today. And we have so far worked more than 20 project, I would say. And as usual, 50% took their initial start well and they then plateaued. But some of the successes that we have seen, it really has stabilized us, and we are now building good quality ventures with a good quality founding teams for global market. That's where we stand.
Okay. So you are like a venture studio, like you mentioned, and you've evolved into a venture studio at this moment. What are the kind of teams that you work with, and are there any prerequisites for the startups to be able to work with you?
Yeah, it is kind of both the teams, both the organizations have to accept each other. It's not that it's one-sided, somebody applying and we selecting it. I don't think that is maybe if we have to scale, that's how we have to do it. But so far, whatever we have done, we met the founders, they met us, we both discovered and spent time discussing on their business plan and what are the things they themselves uh, are not fully competent to do it, and they need a venture studio help in it. Obviously, tech for sure, because that is the biggest value, largest value that we bring to the table. But as we also think from a capability center approach. So they might be not in India, or they may not be operating in the same market they want to start also. Some of other founders who work with us, they are very globally connected and well-traveled people. They are not in one place, but they are like a borderless, how the Web3 is today, borderless thinkers. Wherever there is opportunity, they are willing to go there. So such kind of founders, they say that we need a distributed team that can scale. But when they say distributed but still well grounded, they should have a seasoned professional experience to, because we still work with a lot of financial industry startups. So we should understand the regulations, compliance, and all that necessary so that the foundation is strong for them. And when it scales very rapidly. So the selection criteria that you were asking about, a
Right.
sound business plan, viable, feasible. There is the Tan, Sam, and Som. They have understood. So we really, like co-founders do, we sit with them and understand their market opportunity. Once we are convinced that we have to put our skin in the game and we enter, and once we enter, we never look back. Again, we do everything that is necessary for that venture to be successful.
Okay. So can you tell me a little about the kind of services or the kind of support that you're able to provide the startups?
Yeah, so the startup founder, when they start their, be it an idea stage or they tried something, still not figured out what will work, when they reach out to us, they might have been doing something in that space, but they have a very good understanding about the problem domain, but they do not know what they are doing is the right thing to do. So what we start with is we get into research mode, market research mode, user research. So we go, though they have some data for our own validation verification, we start immersing ourselves in that space, talk to as many people we could do it, minimum 50 to 100 who are operating in that space to validate the problem itself, and also the narration, the positioning of that particular startup is the one first we make it very clear to everyone. That itself is a service. Once we have a strategy in place from where we have to start, the entry strategy, from which point they should start, it's like land and conquer, or where they have to land and from where they have to expand. So that we devise a work with them on a strategy that is practically executable with the constraints of resources they might have in the we do post the strategy design. We start with design sprints. We work with prototypes, design experiments to test the prototypes, ask all the critical questions, some of those hypotheses. Once there is a sufficient take during the experiment, only then the engineering starts. We don't get into the engineering without a substantiation of or a validation of what we all believe. So it will take 3 months minimum. Once we all say that, yes, this is what customer really, really would like to buy, willingness to pay and willingness to use on a daily basis is established during the design sprints, then the full-fledged engineering team comes into place and they very rapidly build their first version, and then we start the production readiness, launch, and other activities.
All right.
So
Okay.
we break them into milestones. We say this is the milestones, and we take each milestone as a next immediate goal and achieve them. So
Right. So it's an entire end-to-end process. You know, you're helping them from basically a cradle to the part where they start scaling, and you're helping them in a manner which is strategic as well as very hands-on.
yeah, it should be strategic, and tactical part of it is we always say if they can do it with their own team members, and that is going to in a way help them to stay closer to the customer. We ask them to do the tactical stuff themselves. It is not necessary we have to do everything by ourselves. We actually see what they can do themselves, and we ask them to do it anyway. That should be their internal competency building. If otherwise it's not, though it's tactical, but it necessarily they should not do it. It will be a distraction for them. We ask them to get it done by another external partner or a vendor.
Right.
Some of the
Okay.
operational stuff. Yeah.
So tell me, what is perhaps the USP? There are some other venture studios, and there are some other platforms that help Web3 in product development. So what kind of sets you apart? What is the USP? Why should startups look at perhaps getting guidance from Creatorverse than somebody else?
Yeah, today in the internet, so much of content is available than the time in 2012 or 13. And there are so much of corporate veteran turned talent is also giving freelance consultations. And many groups have come together with a lot of empathy towards entrepreneurs, helping them. But as a first generation entrepreneur myself, the problem statement that I'm solving as for my own problem statement, I would say is, so each venture, it has its own persona, it has its own ethos, and there is no template that one size fits all kind of. So therefore, the attention that is required to a venture builder, co-venture building is what we call ourselves. We are co-builders, co-creators for these founders. We tell them that a lot of decision making, okay, they can cut, copy, paste. That's what we have seen in rest of the places. Okay, this company has done that. You cut, copy, paste, something will happen, or it's just not a true always. So though in work it works, in some places may not work. So we don't do any cut, copy, paste, and we say that let's do the first principle thinking for your customers. What is right for your customers? What is right for your product users? And they will do it once your end customers are happy with what your product is offering on a day in, day out as an experience, you will get to the place where the venture will take you. So therefore, it's a very custom work, not a work that we can take it from multiple places, but the tools can be reused. A lot of building blocks can be reused that accelerates. Those are tech accelerations. So we apply tech acceleration wherever necessary to optimize the overall capacity and that they require to come up with a company that is easy to achieve product market fit. But at the same time, we have to go by whatever it takes for that company to be successful in the space, the category that they have chosen. At least they are recognized as a defendable, and they have their own stand that they can compete with incumbents or disrupt the incumbents with a right kind of product. So product has a competitive edge, right? That's a core value proposition. Rest of them is a supporting and augmenting value that we offer. So in terms of value proposition, they whatever has been already recorded through our metrics collection is, we have seen if someone takes $200,000 in their initial 0 to 1 journey, we have always done that in the 50% of what it would otherwise have taken if they have done themselves. It's in terms of founder capital risk or a bootstrap capital risk is a very high cost of capital because it's coming from their own savings or coming from by giving a lot of equity to the early stage seed investor. So it's a very expensive capital that they got. So it has to be judicially used, right? So it is judicially used and they've reached to the point much faster than otherwise they would have reached. That's a value prop that we have given.
Right. So basically, you focus on an individual case-to-case basis, and that kind of makes it even more special.
Yeah. So we have to give that special attention. But
Right.
over a period of time, once we have done this for few categories, subcategories, and we have built a knowledge about the end users, then we would be able to do much faster and uh, much more with high degree of success in the future startups who are going to join the studio as future cohorts.
Right. So, given the evolving regulatory landscape, how do you ensure that, the solutions that you're building for these startups, they are compliant in nature?
So I'm a person who did a lot of information tech compliance for the banks I worked for. So the post Lehman Brothers crisis, the 2008 economic crisis, so Dodd-Frank, email, market regulations, CRD5, so many different regulations the techs or a digital first banks or a tech driven banks has to comply with. Not just reporting alone, but systems in place, governance is in place, administration in place, so that nothing, as much as possible, all the um, uh, disasters can be prevented, and the hygiene and sanity and protecting consumer protection or investor protection is taken care. So because I've done these things in my own career, whatever we are building, be it a DeFi company, RWA company, we ensure that is there right from the starting. So the storyboarding itself, when they do this user storyboarding, we see that the KYC, AML, CFTC, PMLA, everything is addressed in the user journeys. They
Right.
don't miss anything when they build with us.
Right. Okay. That is wonderful to know, because I think a lot of, as you said, you were at some point a first-time entrepreneur as well. There is a lot of attention to detail that is required, which at times, people tend to skip, and not necessarily out of sheer lethargy. It's, I think, more to do with the fact that, it's A, intimidating, and B, they tend to sort of, because it's intimidating, they put it off, and B, because they might not even be aware, right? So making sure that this is stuff that comes to their notice and they are actively trying to resolve it from day one, making it a part of the process of building. I think that is wonderful to know. And I think that will help a lot of these entrepreneurs when they are building on their vision to build on it in a much relaxed, perhaps, manner.
Yeah, you put it right because they can't, no founder can be all-round expert in everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And they can't set up advisory boards, sound boards, because today we know time is precious. They have to do certain things at a lightning speed. So there is always they will oversee some of stuff. But
Right.
for us, it is day in, day out across